Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here because this is a genuine question. Here's what I wrote down. How do we know if I'm just looking for a church, whatever. How do I know this is a place that I'm supposed to submit my family to, my life to? I mean, that's a heavy, I know how I'm saying, but I don't know a better way. And then on the other side of that same coin, how do you know when that season's up? Mm-hmm. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cornerstone Conversations. My name is Trevor. I am here with the beautiful, the wonderful, the gorgeous. I got to get his spirits up a little bit today, ladies and gentlemen.
We should edit this out.
Pastor Josh Herson.
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna put some claps in on that. Yeah, 100%. Maybe some fireworks. And the one and only, the gorgeous, making it happen behind the scenes every single week, Dylan Para.
I love how you're just rolling with it.
Yeah. Listen, we've got to bring right before we hit record, the mood was a little down in here. I feel like
I cried.
Mess. I don't know.
Not feeling good today, right?
Not feeling good. There's been a little junk going. My daughter's in pre-K now. And so she just brings everything and anything home, and then she just spreads it to everyone.
Yeah.
And so I'm feeling a little bit of that, and that's why I'm sitting this close to you.
I love it.
So God bless you with that. But today we're talking about continuing what we've talked about, humility, obedience, sacrifice. We've talked about spiritual authority, and I know we're going to kind of get into that a little bit more. And the amount of people truly, I was like, I wonder how people are going to respond to that. And I got some really, really good feedback on that one as well, especially with your vulnerability that you got into with that one. That was tremendous. If you haven't seen that, make sure you go back in the archives and check all of that kind of stuff out. And today, we're going to talk about walking orderly. I almost said obediently, orderly. Yeah. But before we get there, let me ask you this. As a kid, what was your most hated chore? Most hated chore. And Dylan, chime in whenever you got yours.
Easy
Dishes.
for me too. Oh, okay.
Dishes.
I hate dishes, bro.
Really?
Yeah, I hated it. I'll do anything else.
All right. So
Mowing the grass. Easy answer.
Really? Okay. So the second part of this question is, what is your most hated chore now as an adult?
Mowing the grass.
Probably dishes. I mean, I hate doing laundry, but dishes are just like annoying. I don't know. Just me.
Mine is cleaning the bathroom, yet at the same time, I think that's, to me, if there's something I'm going to pause and clean, it's always that, because I never know when someone's going to just pop into the house.
That makes sense.
And even we have like a bathroom downstairs and one upstairs. And like if friends are over there, oh, someone's down here, I'll go up to the one upstairs. And like there's panic in my heart.
No doubt about it.
I
would not invite somebody into my personal bathroom. I would not. They'd have to be like my sister. Like, all right.
Jamie, you're allowed to go in there. In a hazmat
My brother-in-law, like just
Derek would probably enjoy that.
Yeah,
but
be careful.
All right, here's another one. Was there something that your family had, whether it's a tradition, the way y'all did things, a certain order, that was completely different than any of your friends growing up? I know that was a little bit harder.
My mom kept Cheez-Its and Oreos in the refrigerator.
What?
There you go.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
What?
I never heard that. Why?
Why? It wouldn't make them soggy?
Good question.
Yeah, Teresa, what are we doing?
Normal to me, because that's how we grew up. And then we don't buy Oreos, and seldom are there Cheez-Its.
Buddy.
Which I would love to talk about Cheez-Its for a second.
Go for it.
Love that snack. Begged and begged and begged. Was like, please just like burn them, And then they came out with extra toasty. Now I just want them black. Just absolutely turn them black, put them in a box, and send them to my place.
I dig the extra toasty.
The best.
Do you cook them after? How would you even do that? Or no, you're just saying you just wish they did that.
I wish they did it.
Wow.
Just make them black and then send them to Josh's house.
I'm just not a big cheese. I'm not against Cheez-Its. I'm kind of against cheese puffs.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Dude.
It's just they leave a crime scene.
Even like the little pirate booties at church.
No. I'm not a big fan. Not a fan. Oreos, though. Felicia bought a pack of Oreos the other day. That could have been one of the worst things she's ever brought into our house.
Regular or double stuff?
The pumpkin double stuffed.
Oh.
Or it's like the orange in the middle. I don't know if it tastes like.
I saw a commercial the other day.
Oh, my God. I was chain swallowing those in the pantry. Because the issue is you can turn the corner to go into my pantry, and I just was standing in there.
It's probably so easy to just sneak in.
Oh, dude, it's like the cabinet of sin is what, because you could just go right in there. You're right. Nobody sees you. They don't know how many. My kids, I know when they've done it because they're not smart enough to clean up the stuff on the ground. But yeah, Oreos, that's where it's at.
So Oreos and Cheez-Its. And
An ulcer?
I did, yeah. And I wasn't supposed to have like acidic foods and stuff. And I'm in the kitchen one night, and oddly enough, I open up the refrigerator and I'm looking at them Oreos, man, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I gotta have one. So I get one out and I shut the door to the refrigerator, and as soon as I do that, I hear my dad like around in the corner, and I like open this drawer and I just drop it in there. And he was like, you know how my dad was. He can be pretty hard. But he was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I was like, and it's like, all right, I'm busted. I was trying to eat an Oreo. And he was like, out of his care for me, he was just like, you can't put that thing back. So
You can't have Oreos with ulcers?
Anything like that's acidic will just irritate that thing really
I can
bad.
see like not having like a lime or something like that, but I wouldn't have thought of Oreo. What was yours unique family thing that y'all did different that no one else did?
I mean, we made like 200 tamales before Christmas, pretty much every year. My whole family would get together and just make a bunch of tamales.
How long does that take?
A while.
Beef, chicken, both?
Both.
Nice.
Okay, this is not, we did not plan this, but I'm wearing the newest food truck in St. Augustine shirt.
Oh,
if you go to Champion, you know about this thing.
All right.
Or if you hang around Michael and D, you know this. It's El Taco en Madre. Okay, that might be the worst Spanish anyone's ever heard. I'm going to tell you, I love Taco Bell. Everybody knows that. This is the best Mexican food I have ever had in my entire life.
I'm going to have to check it out.
Buddy,
heard.
Have you
I
had
haven't
it
had
yet?
it yet. No, I heard though.
You can't go wrong with Mexican
Joe was
food,
showing me
man.
pictures. I was like,
It is, and when you said tamales, it made me think about it.
I
The
can
most
smell it.
wild thing. It was so good. I was like, can I get a shirt?
Nice.
That's of course that's what I do. I'm like, can I get a shirt? But anyhow, all right. So yours would be that. Ours was Thanksgiving. Oddly enough, we would have Thanksgiving at 11 a.m. and we had to be done by noon because my grandparents own movie theaters. If any of you grew up in St. Augustine, my grandparents used to own Potbellies downtown on Granada Street. And then we owned one in Palaca, and then they owned one in Palm Coast as well. But we had to be at the movie theater. Thanksgiving Day is one of the biggest days for movies.
That's right.
And so we would have to eat at 11 and be done by noon. And then that was Thanksgiving was over. That was it. So that's probably
What
the
a bummer.
only odd thing. So yeah, now I just go all day. So anyhow, talking about that kind of stuff, I can't get over Oreos and Cheez-Its in the fridge. I had a
strange,
friend
but-
in high school that did Pop-Tarts in the freezer. That's a life changer.
A Nutty Buddy out of the freezer will change your life.
Woo!
Change your life. Yep.
Dude, praise God. All right.
You're welcome.
Talking about walking orderly, and the theme is kind of getting your house in order. If you want to give somebody if they're just logging on, they just found us, kind of what you've been talking about with Church on the Rock, with the Lead Me series and the Move Initiative, and then how that kind of plays into where we're at today.
So our church is in a discipleship journey called The Move. Everything that we are doing as a church is under this banner of God being on the move. And so we know that God is on the move in our church. As a church, we're memorizing Psalm 143:10. We are asking as a church the same fundamental question, and all of the teaching and the content, everything that we're doing is aligned and pointing toward us being submitted to God's will for our lives, not our own way. And so we're in this series right now called Lead Me. And as we head toward the final couple of weeks, we're talking about walking orderly. And in its context of the message, we're actually going to be talking about our financial stewardship in our lives.
Oh, okay.
In orderly way. God has a way that he orders it. For the sake of this conversation, like we've sort of elevated these conversations just higher than, we're not trying to necessarily just talk about the sermons our church is preaching
Right.
and elaborate more. We're sort of leveling up to bigger conversations at higher levels about these topics. And so a couple of episodes ago, I don't remember how many, I mentioned the book Undercover by John Bevere.
Yeah, that was the spiritual authority episode, which when this comes out, that would be like 3 or 4 episodes back.
Okay.
But we can tag it in here too.
Yeah, and so I brought that book up and then said, I've never read it, but I was very familiar with the premise of it because I had been in some courses and stuff when I was much younger. It's a very, very old book, but he's reprised it and I think shortened it a little bit, and I'm nearly done with it now.
Okay,
so I
so-
just picked it up and read it, and it is everything I thought it was, basically. And he and I have a couple of different outlooks on a couple of things, but that's to be expected. I would disagree with myself 5 years ago on things, I'm sure, right? We all grow in our discipleship, or sometimes we just don't see things the same way. And so but very, very little of that for me in it. But it's been super healthy about being under God's covering by walking under the authority that God has established in the earth. And the thing that he challenges the most is us in America. We think in democratic ways. We serve a God that operates a kingdom, very different. And so it's proving to be a good thing for me. And this is a thing I'm really interested to see how I think this is going to impact us a lot as a staff and as a church. Just some of the work that God's doing in my own heart, as we've talked about here, is this idea of like being fathered by God. And knowing God as a son versus just a servant is something that's still being unpacked, and I'm growing in that, which is super fun. And then I do think this idea of order is something that God is also exposing me to. I honestly feel like I am blessed to have come up with a really solid understanding of it. But for whatever reason, I'm recognizing that it is not talked about in the church.
So, all right.
much.
So when you say, let's go there. When you say order, are you meaning spiritual order, like authority, or are you meaning like, hey, God has things as a certain order in our lives that should be operating, or maybe yes,
probably a little both.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the way of, I'll soapbox it somewhat that, you have all these consumeristic Christians that, they're just popping in and out of the church, and it's so awesome in the beginning, and it's serving them, and they're so happy until it isn't. And
like the new bright and shiny thing into us, that kind of deal of like, oh, this is new, this is fresh. Yeah.
Yeah. Or until something happens that they can't understand, or that they're not, maybe they're fully on board with, and all of a sudden they have this beef against the leader or their small group leader, whatever, authority. And then I'm out. And then they're just moving on and moving on and moving on. When really, sometimes walking under the authority God has placed in your life within the context of your church is the greatest thing you can do, even when you don't always agree. And I'm not talking about things against Scripture.
Right.
That's not what I mean.
We're not talking about people being heretics.
Correct.
But be like, well, I'm here. I got to be under this.
A little more of that. The conversation we had about like purpose over preference.
Yeah.
That not all things in our discipleship journey are going to be within the reality of our preferences.
Right.
Sometimes I prefer different, but purpose is more important. And so I see it happen. I mean, you do too. I'm as pastors. You're just in a church, and Dylan, you probably see it. You know what I mean? Where people are just like, "Oh, I didn't like that. I'm out," or "You said it wrong."
Dude, we have church in a cafeteria. There's not a
Plenty
lot.
of that.
There's plenty of there's no bells and whistles that are attracting them to
They walk
champion.
in, they're like, I'm out.
Literally, you can literally see people walk in like. And I'm
But
like, did y'all not watch the new video? We say we're in a cafeteria.
Yeah, but you guys do a great job of making it not feel like a cafeteria. So
Thank
if you're
you, man.
kicking the tires about Champion Church, you should go visit it.
It does help that it
feels
doesn't
amazing.
smell like a cafeteria.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do that.
Unless it was like Taco Bell or something,
Well, that would be
That would be great, yeah.
dude. I would put that in our air
We'd probably get
fresheners.
more people.
So, yeah, exactly. Busting at the seams in many ways. Anyhow, back to
Yeah, so
just purpose over preference, but then sitting under spiritual authority.
Yes.
Not heretic stuff, obviously, but
and allowing the person God has put into a role to actually speak into your life and shepherd you through some things that you might not even prefer or like, or it's hard for you. And I don't think a ton of people do that. I think they're just quick to be like, I'm uncomfortable. It's not my preference. I'm out of here. I think they're missing some of God's best for them by doing that.
okay. So I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit here, because this is a genuine question. Here's what I wrote down: how do we know if I'm just looking for a church, whatever? How do I know this is a place that I'm supposed to submit my family to, my life to?
good
I mean,
question.
that's a heavy. I know how I'm saying, but I don't know a better way. And then on the other side of that same coin, how do you know when that season's up?
I think that most people go into a church search with the wrong question.
Okay.
And I think they're asking the question, and I'm certainly generalizing here.
Right.
This is not true of all people or any of that, but I think that a lot of people go into it with like, how can this church serve me? Do I like the preaching style? Do I like the location? Do I like what it offers my kids? I think all that matters.
Right.
But at the same time, I think the better question is, does this church have a mission I can attach to?
Okay, there we go. I'm tracking.
Now it's less about me and it's more about a kingdom thing. So maybe he's not the most gifted communicator, but maybe he's a really good leader. And maybe he actually has a solid vision that God has planted in his heart, and he's going to take this church somewhere. Maybe you settle with style preference and you just settle into but I buy into what God is trying to do here. And I want to actually help accelerate that. There's some people that if you go in with the consumeristic mindset of do they have what I need? You might be missing the opportunity to help provide the church what you need.
Oh, that's
you
a great
could be the
point.
answer to the prayer of the church. But if you come into it with a consumeristic thought, well, they don't have it. When really God might be yeah, but that's why I brought you here.
That's really good.
Because what you see as a deficiency might be something they also see as a deficiency, and they're just waiting on you to help them improve or bolster that area. I just think that it's some of that preference thing, and maybe the lens you show up with matters on how you'll stick around.
I wonder why, when you said that, I've seen that before working with different philanthropic organizations. You see someone show up and they'll say, I remember when we had a huge food pantry at the place I was at before, huge food pantry. You get people that show up that weren't even believers, right? And you didn't have to be a believer to serve, obviously. But they were like, hey, I see you're lacking this administration, certain stuff in the administration, and they would jump in and just absolutely level up the whole organization. I've seen that there. I've seen it dealing with different home projects and different organizations, and people showing up and hey, you need to do this, this, and this. But when it comes to the church, a lot of times that's outside of, man, I got to be careful what I say here. Outside of people being weird, you know what I'm saying? I hate, I'm not throwing, but you get those people the Lord sent me here to be a voice. And it's I don't know. I don't know if I'm saying that right, and I'm trying to be careful because I want to be respectful to people, but you just don't see that in the church.
Right.
So they'll show up to something with philanthropy, but when it comes to the church, that's so, I've never thought about it until this moment. It's well, what's here from me?
Yeah. And we have these awesome examples in our church right now of people that they're just helping us fill the voids in areas. We have all kind of procedural things that just got to get better. They have to level up in the context of Church on the Rock. There's no doubt about it. And because we don't have, to me, it's very, very obvious, but we don't have it all together.
Right.
I think that oftentimes, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I think sometimes people will roll into, I'm going to use us only. This is the lens I know. They'll roll into Church on the Rock and they'll be like, man, I like it. These people are nice. Worship was good. Enjoyed the message, whatever they say for whatever reason, man, my kids enjoyed it. It's this thing. And then I say this often in our church context, the longer, regardless of the church you're in, the longer you're there, the more about you you're going to want it to be. It's just true. Because when it was one service, I loved it and I knew everybody. And now we go to two services and, oh man, I don't see Jim anymore. And I was my guy
Jim.
and the thing. And again, it's not, it doesn't serve you the way that it did. Or man, the church decided it needed to move from this location to that location. You guys have dealt with a bunch of that. And it's oh man, now it's further from my house, blah, blah. And we can really quickly get into why us, the consumerism type of a thing. But we have people right now that they have come into our church and they are bought into the mission of our church. They've seen a few deficiencies, like some procedural things that we drop the ball on things, and sometimes, unfortunately, on people because we don't have the right systems. And they're coming in I'm gonna help bolster this so that we don't make the errors I've seen made. We're not going to make those again. I'm going to try to make it better. People helping us with things like new believers. We have a lot of new life change in our church. We don't really have what is next other than come back to church or get into a group. Right. So we have a couple people right now. There's a team of them working to develop. All right, if you give your life to Jesus in our church, we want to offer you something that's just, a starter.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like to walk with Jesus. And that's what I'm talking about, because if the choice in those people's both those examples are, I could be frustrated because something's missing, and I'll go where to the bigger one. They probably got it.
Or the smaller one. Some people are like, well, I'll go somewhere where they want me.
Sure.
100%,
Yep.
yeah.
They didn't say hi to me. I'll go where I'm seeing the notice or whatever. And that's more consumeristic if it's about me. But if it's like, no, I believe in this mission. I think that God has me here. How can I help fill the gap? How can I help step up?
All right. So what I hear you saying is, all right, how do I know where to submit myself, my family, that kind of stuff? It's missional, right? So I know that's.
I think so.
And then from there, that's where you're like, okay, if I believe in this mission, then scripturally there is an order for sure. I mean, you can't read the New Testament and not see that God doesn't have order in there of different. And I don't know them off the top of my head, so forgive me. But then that's where you're like, okay, well, I'm going to submit under this pastor, this leadership. Am I hearing you right on that stuff?
Right.
Okay.
And then under who he has placed in roles and oversight within the context of the church, to me, that is a biblical approach to take.
Okay. Let me ask you this. How do you, because we've seen this happen with people too, where they get in, they see the mission, they're going to submit, all that kind of stuff, but there's this struggle between works righteousness and just being loved by God, whether they do something or not. Where's the line, do you feel like,
Can
on
you, more words? What do you mean?
all right. So like people that are like, I wrote it down like this. How do we keep order from becoming performance driven? And how do we stay in grace while we're still pursuing the discipline of order? So like where some people are like, it has to be order. It gets so almost ritualistic, so almost earning the love of God or earning the love of the church or whatever.
Okay,
that it gets unbalanced.
Yeah, because when I'm saying order, I think what I'm meaning is more the posture of someone's heart.
Okay.
Is that, like I told this story of my kind of reality with the pastors. I'm pursuing the one, I'm getting nowhere, and the other one's like, hey, I'll help you. And I finally made a decision of my heart that I'm going to allow this guy to have a shepherding voice in my life. I'm going to I gave him that place in my heart. And therefore, I've read several books because of it. I'm doing things that steps he's asking me to take, all that stuff. I think it's a little more of that, because if my heart is, God, I will trust you to lead me through these people, these imperfect people.
Right.
I will trust you to lead me through them, by them. Then I think we are getting in the way God orders things to be done. I'll even say it like this, and I just said this to somebody maybe yesterday. If even so my role and title at our church is lead pastor. We have multiple staff members, full-time staff members.
Great people.
Wonderful.
Yep.
But I also think that God speaks to me through them oftentimes. Like if God put them at the table, we'll call it, if God put them at the table, the decision-making, leadership, discipleship table of our church, and they have thoughts, opinions, lenses, experiences, encounters, and I'd never give them an ear, I think I'm ignoring the voice. God put them there.
That's a great point.
So I'm ignoring the voice of the Lord not to hear their thoughts and perspectives and decisions on maybe how we go about a thing or how do we improve a thing. And that's, and I'm like the lead.
Right.
So vice versa, anybody who I put in lead of my life, I should hear that voice as if it is in many ways the voice of the Lord. So for example, when my pastor said, I want you to read this book, I just said, yes, Lord. I believe you have put him in my life, that you're speaking to him. This is what he asked of me. So the answer is yes. I don't need to pray about this. I don't care if I want to read the book or not. That's what he asked me to do. I did it. And it's been a blessing to me. And I just think people miss that. Sometimes this individualistic, I'm in control is I just think it's a trick of the enemy in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Everybody wants to be that independent song.
Yes.
Everybody. INDEPENDENT. You don't know about me. That's what they want to be.
That's impressive there.
It's a song. But like, I can't go an episode without singing. I guarantee you that. But you know what I thought about in that too? When you said the individualistic, how many times do we all get that way just with ourselves of I'm the smartest, I've got this, and we miss the voices that God's put right around us speaking into our lives, but we get so, maybe it's because we're jaded. Maybe it's because we've been hurt. Maybe we have like legitimate trauma reasons, or maybe we just have major pride reasons, but we're missing the voice of the Lord speaking into our lives through some really good people around us that we can't see.
His voice, and I think oftentimes his blessing.
Oh, that's a great point.
So much. It's like if you would just walk in the order and the authority that I've established, I can bless you in that. And I think people step out of the way of his goodness and his blessing. Anyway, I could just get all up in this, but I just think that I feel like maybe God is stirring my heart that I need to talk about this more, even in the context of our church. And it's not for me to get
right.
The last thing I'm looking for is for me to get like, I don't need more authority, bro. I get enough attention. There a lot comes with that. It's not for me, it's for you.
You're beautiful too.
Facts.
I'm being serious.
It is not like, I'm not saying this for my sake. I'm actually saying this for your sake. And it's in the same way when we talk about our finances and the stewardship, the orderly stewardship of our money. I don't need anything from you. I want something for you. God has an order and he has a way. And too often times we just talked about this a couple of weeks ago in our church, like Saul, when he was called, Samuel says, go and destroy the Amalekites, everything. And then he goes and he does almost all that.
Right.
But then he holds some things and then he justifies himself and all things. And I just think and I know I'm guilty of this in seasons. If I'm guilty right now, I need the Lord to expose it to me. But there are certainly people that they do most of the obedience of the Lord. I'll give you my Sunday attendance.
Right.
I'll serve, but I won't give you my money. You know what I mean? And maybe they saw.
Or, I mean, either way, I'll give you my money, but I'm not going to serve.
Correct. Some people, money's the easy part.
Right.
There's no problem. I'll just do that, but I'm not getting into that group where I have to actually get vulnerable about relationship and maybe let somebody behind this wall I've built because anyway.
And I think that's where the listener, and you do, I mean, there are so many from COTR that watch this, obviously, so that they're able to relate very well to what you're talking about and the kind of the lens that you're having with this. But I think with the order as well, getting those kind of things in godly order in our life, if people could just see that, because maybe let's just say you're watching in, you're watching in Vancouver. Okay. So, and you're like, yeah, but that's hard for me to relate where I'm at. Y'all are in Northeast Florida and I'm over here. Okay. Well, start with just getting some order of things in your life. Start with that kind of stuff. Like, is the things in order to match what God says, not in a religious way, not in a earning way, that kind of stuff. But Mark 12, which are in this kind of message series, or this week, God's given us order. Number one is this. And number 1B is this. He wasn't like, he really meant love God with everything and love your neighbor as yourself as well. That's order. That's there as well. And I think sometimes we have to just see that through all of it. It's like, all right, what is God wanting to put in order in my heart and in my house?
Yeah, 100%. And so you asked the question a bit ago, how would somebody know when it's time to leave or move on or something? Because God does those things, right? We just told the story about Joe.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
God called him.
And to everything, there's a season.
That's exactly right. I think too that whether or not even, and again, I would recommend that. I would recommend the book Undercover, because he even gets into like secular authorities and how God knows. Like, is it Romans 13:1?
Romans 13 talks about it, and then 2 Timothy talks about it as well.
God knows, like, all authority has been placed by God. Like, he has allowed that to happen. And he talks about the way that we would honor and respect those that we don't even agree with, that are leading policies that we don't agree with. But there is a way to walk orderly. It doesn't mean that I am a supporter.
Right.
But I can honor them, and I can, I can not cheat on my taxes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's theft. Now, do we agree with all the policies? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? But that's not the point.
Like I said, I don't agree with all my policies.
Yeah, well said. But I would say this, like, with an example from my own life was I've really, I guess, only been in 2 churches in my lifetime.
Okay.
I mean, I guess that's technically not true, but I mean, I have spent seasons in 2 churches. I've grown up in the church, and there was a season, and I'll do this super fast, but there was a season where I had a heart's desire to be at Church on the Rock. I wanted to be there. And there was a lot of reasons for that. God was doing a great work in the church. I was friends with the founding pastor, Pastor Tom, who is still to this day my pastor until he takes his last breath. That is the title he will have in my heart and in my life forever. His boys, one of his sons married my sister. We were all close. We all hung out together, and so I would often stay the night at their house on Saturday nights on purpose, because then I got to go to church. And what parent doesn't want to hear their kid be like, "Hey, can I go to Danny's house? Because I want to go to church tomorrow." Like, yeah, you know. So I was over there a lot. I had a desire to be there, but I didn't have God's release to be there. Now, I'm a kid, okay? I started attending Church on the Rock when I was 16 years old, and way back in the 1900s. I was in a church, and because of a lot of reasons, my parents and I was in a Christian school. I understood. Again, this is where I feel like I'm blessed to have an understanding of order. And so, to make a long story short, there was an event that happened in my life that made me think, I think God might be giving me permission to go. So I began to just pray about that. Okay, Lord, occasionally. Another event takes place where I'm like, that it just felt like this is not coincidental. This feels like God is doing a thing. As a 16-year-old, I then went to fervent prayer, like a daily. This is matching a desire in my heart. I want to be over there. But in my opinion, God had me assigned here. So, and this is a unique story. This might not apply to all situations, but that was my desire. I began to pray fervently to the point that I felt like I had, and the only way I know how to describe it is, I felt a godly peace on the inside that I could go. Okay, now I could have just taken that and been like, I'm out.
Right.
But because I believe in authority, I went and had a meeting with my pastor. And I said, I think God might be calling me to Church on the Rock. And then he said, okay, would you be willing to pray 1 week with me about this, and we'll talk in a week? I'm like, yes. Why? Because he's still my pastor. So if that's what you're going to ask me to do, my responsibility before the Lord is to follow your leadership. So it was an easy yes, because I'm like, okay, yeah, so he said, can you meet me? It was in the summertime, I recall. Can you meet me back here next week, same time and place? Yes, sir. I went and I pray. I don't get like that like radio station commercial where I'm like, that was the Lord. I don't see it on the billboard. There's no verses in scripture standing out to me. The thing that happened was nothing changed. I still feel like this is that I almost feel like I have the permission from the Lord to do this, but I can't do this because I'm still under the authority of my pastor. So I go back there the next week and I'm like, and he said, how do you feel? And I said, to be honest with you, Pastor, I feel exactly the same today as I did then. I feel like God is allowing me to go, but you're my pastor. I mean, this is the conversation I'm having as a kid, which I'm kind of proud of myself for. You know what I mean? Looking back, like, man, that was kind of a big.
Yeah, when I left the church at 19, it did not go like that at all. I was a jerk. Go ahead.
So I say I feel the same way. Like I don't feel like God said anything new, but I can't explain it. I just sense a peace in me that I'm like I have the Lord's permission to go, but you're my pastor. And he said, well, if you feel like this is what the Lord is saying to you, then I want you to go. And he said, and I want to send you with my blessing. And I'll never forget these words. He said, I want you to tell Tommy, because him and Pastor Tom are their peers, they're friends, I want you to tell Tommy that I'm sending him one of my best. And I felt like, what a compliment, Yeah. And then he prays over me and sends me.
Wow.
I had no idea that I would one day lead the church.
Right.
That was like 26 years ago.
Goodness, you're old.
It was a long time ago, man.
Lord.
1999, right?
I don't know. There's a Prince song about that, though. I think I honestly, that's the first time I've heard that story for sure. And you did, in my opinion, handle that very well, because I sucked at that when I went through something similar. But something I was thinking too, and you're saying that, all right, well, man, there's some really good stuff in there just for the listener. If you're praying for anything, if you're like, Lord, show me what I'm supposed to do about this, or what am I supposed to do about this, or how do I handle it? Like just listening for, and you said it there, there's sometimes when you're asking God, Lord, am I supposed to do this or that? There's a peace about it.
Yeah.
There's a peace that comes where you're like, all right, I think I'm going to do this. And there's a peace there for sure. I've experienced that countless times walking with the Lord. I'm like, Lord, what do you want us to do? What do you want us to do? We're dealing with a lot of that with Champion right now in so many different areas. What do you want us to do? What do you want us to do? And some of the stuff I'm like, and then some of the things I'm like, there's just a peace there.
Sometimes I feel like it's peace and sometimes it's chaos.
What do you mean?
Like, I'll bet Jesus didn't have a lot of peace when he said, not my will, but yours be done. And then he went to the cross. I wonder how was Peter feeling when he got out of that boat in the storm? I don't know.
I've never thought of it like that.
I think that.
Great. Now you just messed up my whole idea.
No. But then there are times where for me in that moment, for sure, it was like peace. I knew, like, I just feel like this is what the Lord is. I didn't feel like, okay, might be helpful to some people. I did not feel like God was sending me. I felt like God was allowing me. And then my pastor sent me. Okay. Order. I think God knows what he's doing. And now I still co-pastor in our city with my former pastor. He's still pastoring.
Right. Yep.
And guess what? When I see him at Publix, or the same Starbucks I see him mostly at, or Home Depot or wherever.
Right, yeah.
If I am walking by aisle 9 and he's down there and I don't have anything on aisle 9 I need, I'm taking a purposeful trip down there just to hug him.
Right.
It's not weird. I'm not hiding. I'm not ducking him. I'm inviting him to, things that pastors are doing in the community, all this stuff. Why? Because order. But I think you have to be honest with yourself. God's never going to give you peace about something that's contrary to his word.
Right.
You know how many
100%.
times we've heard people say, like, I think I'm going to divorce her. God's just given me a peace. I'm like, well, has she cheated on you? No, but man, she's a nag. And I'm like, well, then that's not the order of the Lord. That's not the Bible.
Why is he from Okeechobee?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? God's order follows God's word, his character, and his nature. So the Spirit of God only reveals to us truth.
Yeah.
So the Spirit of God will not lead us to do anything outside of the will of God, which comes from the Word of God.
Right.
So you have to be honest with yourself. You can feel nice about a thing, and that's not the peace of God.
Right.
Does that make sense? Because I feel like I'm opening a little bit of a new can of worms here.
But I feel I'm tracking what you're saying, and I think maybe we title this one "How to Find a Church," because I think that kind of goes some of this stuff, man. Like I've grown up. And kind of that, I don't want to say denomination. That's not the right word. Help me with the word here of like that type of spiritual thinking, if that makes sense, or that type of mindset when it comes to churches. But I know so many people have not. This is probably for the first time some people have ever heard that you're submitting. When you join a church, you are submitting to the leadership of that church for sure. And again, people use that in really disgusting, traumatic ways. Without a doubt.
Sadly, that is true.
That is just the truth, man. And I hate that. But you can't throw the old saying, the baby out with the bathwater. Bosses do the same thing for people all the time, and you don't stop working. You know what I'm saying? But I think
you had a bad experience at a restaurant, and you just quit restaurants.
I'm not going to say the name, but it starts with a W, ends with Indies the other day. And I tell you what, I love Dave Thomas's burgers with a heartbeat, but it was horrible. And I looked forward to it all day long. I guarantee you, I'm going to go back to that Wendy's.
Yeah.
I promise you. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that there is stuff that is in there. I know this is a very odd Bread of Life, Wendy's, whatever.
Yeah, but it's comparable because the excuses people will use in the context of church, they won't use in a context of working or a bad experience at a restaurant or I didn't get treated good at Lowe's. I'm a Home Depot person forever now. You know what I mean? They're probably going back to, okay.
Right. I'm tracking. You know what? And since we got to wrap this up, but I will say this, boy, it lights me up. Mm-hmm. It lights me up when people get that consumeristic way about church. And then all of a sudden they need you to do something.
Yeah.
Woo, boy, I will tell you, I battle my flesh so much with that. That is a thing that I have to take before the Lord. I had to do it 2 days ago, 2 friggin' days ago. Somebody hits me up and I'm like, I know they ain't going to watch this, so I'm good. But I'm like, I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to push off someone who is in the family of champion, if that makes sense. So I can go do this because now all of a sudden you need this right now. And I don't know. That's my own little, what do you say? That's my own soapbox for today. It lights me up.
You are right. And I would say this too, when you're heading in, all right, if we're going to call this how to find a church and you're heading into the church and you're doing I think church shopping there's wisdom in it. You should go 100%. To some things, to some churches. You should, I think you're going to feel some things that are good or bad, or, this is definitely not it. I kind of like when you know it sometimes.
And give it 2 or 3 weeks, I would say as well.
Yeah. Run it back a few times. I actually, when I find out people are in a church shopping mode and they're visiting us, I highly encourage them. I'm like, hey, you need a list. Do you want me to give you some churches I would encourage you to check out that I think are like gospel centered and being Christ led? And I'll tell them, like, try this one, that one, and the other, and then let God lead you. You know what I mean? Because I can try to keep you, but if it's not God's will, that ain't going to work anyway. So anyway, that's also a soapbox thing that, like, why are we trying to determine like our flock? It's like, let God determine that.
Sometimes I feel like Michael Scott when he's like the magician, and I'm like, you want me to do this? Here, I can do this. I can do this. Go ahead. So I feel like sometimes when you're trying to keep people, and it's like, I can do this. I can do this. But like, why? Why? Because eventually I'm going to let you down.
I'm thinking there's a quote that, let me make sure I got it, or I'm not going to say it. I heard somebody say this one time, and this is about people, maybe in reference to what you mentioned a couple of days ago, but like the energy it takes to get somebody back is the energy it'll always take to keep them.
Bingo.
It's that is the thing. And I'll say this. Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
My hilarious. Yeah, that's funny.
That's what I feel like.
My final thoughts right here are this, that yes, there are bad examples and people that power trip,
right?
People become cops and stuff because they got bullied in school, and they abuse an opportunity to serve. The best officers and deputies, they serve their communities. The best pastors, they serve their churches. They're not there to abuse. And what weight of responsibility it is on the pastor when someone chooses to say, I'll follow you because you follow God, bro, the sobering weight of that to me is, it's tough. It's tough, but it's also like, God, you called me to this.
Yeah.
Therefore okay. This is my final thought. I'm a normal preacher. It's my second closing.
And one more thing.
Sunday, I preached a message about obedience. So at the time of this recording, we just finished our obedience.
You can catch it. It's called Walk Obediently.
Yeah. I got on my knees at the altar in response to my own sermon 3 times. This was not me trying to like, let me show your church.
That's where the sermon's convicting when the pastor's
I preached what I believe is the word of truth from Scripture about being obedient to the Lord, and then get on my knees after every one of those messages and said, God, please help me to be obedient.
Yeah.
Please, God, I don't want to be the guy on a microphone throwing your words around and not feeling the weight of them on my own life. If anybody at Church on the Rock must walk in obedient surrender to the Lord, I am first.
Yeah, 100%.
Order.
Yeah.
So, it's a great responsibility to lead.
Yeah. It freaks me out every week.
Yeah.
There's a weight, man. If you're a business owner, if you're a supervisor, something like that, you know what that weight is, or you got to figure out payroll, you got to figure out deadlines.
If you're a good parent, you know what that weight is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know exactly what that's like. Well, the last thing I'll say on this, I know we got to wrap it up. 2 Kings 20, I wrote it down here. When Hezekiah, he's about to die, the word of the Lord comes to him from Isaiah, and he says, tell him to get his house in order. He says, get your house in order. And then Hezekiah prays after that, like, Lord, please remember what we did. After the word of the Lord is get your house in order. Hezekiah connects again with God, and there is life given after that. I think that's one of the greatest things we have to remember. When we get things in order in our life, we are connecting with God, and there is life that follows. It is not just about following rules or following guidelines and all this kind of stuff. Everybody wants to be like, oh, I'm free. No, listen, when there's order, there is connection, and there is life that comes from it. And we cannot miss it, in my opinion. And that's something like
totally
for me, exactly what you said, like, Lord, help me. Give me the grace to do this. In these areas I don't think I can. Give me the grace to do this because I want to connect with you.
Yep.
And I want the life that comes with it. And I think that's, for me, that's what I want the listener to get on this as well.
No doubt. A train is not free unless it's on rails. Listen, the freest place that I can live is in total submission to the Lord.
Yeah. That's so good. That's great, buddy. That's it? You good? That's it.
No more closings.
Listen, if you're going to find a church, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. Wherever you are, we encourage you to get in. Obviously, we love you watching this, but we can't pastor you from here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We can't do that kind of stuff. Wherever you're watching, find somewhere that you can get behind the mission, submit to the leadership, and let the Lord bring life out of it. You good?
Love it.
You good, buddy?
Yes, sir.
All right, awesome. Until next time, God bless you guys. Send this to somebody who is just full of chaos and they need some order, and this is your way to kind of nudge them to get their life together. Until next time, God bless you guys. We'll talk to you soon.